the start of the tool section, okay? These are the tools I use the most. I use wood rasps. This is a good one. I paid a bit for it, but then I do a lot of wood rasping because I do woodwork too. You can get cheap ones down, little guys, you know, for, you know, buck a piece. Go check. I started out at the dollar store with a $1 wood rasp, okay? I use sort of fine sandpaper. Now, you don't have to spend a lot. Now these are these stupid little sanding pencils. They're kind of cool. They got points and stuff, and you got replaceable sandpaper on them, but you got to buy the sandpaper. These are cheap dollar store emery boards, which are actually better than these, because these you can cut, use up, goop, use as spreaders, and then throw away. And you know, being as you get like 20 or 30 of them for $1, they're a tenth the price of these things that you get from the hobby store. Okay. Other things I use flush cut wire snippers. Okay, these are really handy. You guys should invest in these. These are cheap ones, but I've got some really nice Zerons that I use for, you know, special stuff. I try not to get gooped up like these ones are. I use wire cutters, little guys, big guys, all kinds of wire cutters. They're kind of handy kind of tools. I use Wolfa knives. Okay, now I do have some of those little you know, the knurled aluminum type kind where you put the little blades in there, but I mean, I use this thing most of the time. I have a good wood carving knife that I've bought. Okay, it's a Swiss made wood carving knife. I use that for whittling on various little things. And other than that, I mean, most of the tools that I actually use for sculpting and stuff like that, I make myself. I'll use an old jigsaw blade that's, you know, it's sorry for the stuttering, the jigsaw blade that's dull and stuff and no good anymore. I'll use those. I'll you know, grind them down with a file and stuff like that. I make a lot of wooden tools because, you know, when they get wrecked or dull, you just resharpen them, and wood's surprisingly useful. And oh, saws. There's pull saws. Invest in a Japanese pull saw. This is a good one because you can replaceable blades, because the blade's really expensive to sharpen. The kerf on these is really thin. You pull stroke, okay? Really good saws. I've got several different ones of these. Not that bad. I think this one was like 30 bucks. If you get a real Japanese pull saw, then they're expensive. But like I said, replaceable blades on these ones, good ones. I use these micro saws. Okay. Now, a lot of this stuff, you know, I'll talk about kind of Walmart and dollar stores and stuff like that. You know, oh man, I try not to shop at Walmart. I try to shop at the little hobby stores all the time. Unfortunately, our little hobby store does not listen to their customers, and they're getting into these stupid RC remote control friggin' cars all the time instead of hobby stuff. Okay, so anyways, you know, search around. Try to shop at your hobby store, otherwise they will be gone. You know, and a lot of the cool stuff you really can't see anywhere else. Whether or not you buy it, at least you know it exists. And other than that, you know, save your money like that banking commercial. Okay. Hey, more on tools. Handy tool. Bakers use it. You know, you use it in your kitchen for cutting your dough and, you know, scraping up your nuts and stuff, and then into the recipe and stuff like that. But hey, for when you're doing foaming and stuff, you can scrape off your work table. You can, you know, gather up all your foams and your flocking that you're sprinkling on. If you go to the supermarket or a grocery type store or cooking store, you'll pay probably 10 bucks for it. This one I paid $1 for at Dollarama, dollar store, your pound store. Eh? Anyways, handy tool. Lost my remote. Ice cream little spoons. These are those little wooden spoons for, you know, eating treats. Hey, these are really cool. I use these for all kinds of stuff, from, you know, mixing paints and stuff like that. Usually you can get these, you know, quite cheap. Yeah, you go down to the 7-Eleven store or whatever, Max convenience type store, and, you know, they'll have a whole whack of them there. Just ask for something, they'll give them to you. Anyways, what I did with these ones was I made little shutters for the Hobbit house. Let's see if I can zoom in here for you. One of the tools I use is a wood burning tool every now and then. I don't use a wire gun. Okay, see? But so, anyways, for our round windows on our Hobbit house, here's little shutters. They'll go on each side of the round window like that. And you just burn it on with the hot wood burning gun or soldering gun. You know. Anyways, I don't like those hot wire guns. I've used them a couple times and they're just they don't work that good. So anyways, if you do want to use something like that, get yourself a soldering gun. And you can't see here. Anyways, I've taken a dimmer switch and just wired it to one of the plugs. So when I plug my heating gun into the plug, I can dial the temperature on it with the dimmer switch. Works really good. You know, you can tone it down to a nice warm thing. Sometimes I use that for doing my brick work. I'll use the hot, tip on it and just draw in the rock work bricks. But usually I use a knife and a pencil. Work more on little tools and saws and stuff for cutting and working on this foam and stuff. Those, what do they call them? Scroll saws. Those are really handy, because you can use a scroll saw and run your piece through it and do fine work, or a bandsaw and stuff. Sometimes, you don't have those. Coping saw works okay, and you drill a hole through and then you take the blade off the coping saw, put it through the hole, put it back onto the coping saw, cut your little piece out and take the blade off. It's kind of a little bit of hassle. So anyways, what I do is I take some plastic type stuff, or you can use some of your green stuff or whatever, and I take one of the blades. I'll zoom in here for you. So I take one of the blades and I'll cut a point on the end of it. Use your wire cutters, because they're not very big on a coping saw blade, and then I'll make a little handle of some form. This is just some melted plastic that I've got. So now I've got a little, like a keyhole saw that you can actually stick into your foam and saw, like, one of those whatever, you can works really good. Here's a bigger one. It was, I can't remember what this was. It was some sort of little miniature hacksaw blade, and I put the plastic, wrapped it around the middle, so same effect. So on a window like this, rather than taking your bandsaw and, and having a cut into the window, or taking it apart and, having to put it back together and that, just use one of these and do it by hand, Works really good. And if you cut a point on it with something, tin snips, or then you can just poke it right through and you don't have to pre-drill your hole. This is something else I've used with a piece of hacksaw blade, busted hacksaw blade. I've just kind of cut a slot in a piece of wood, and actually I've got this one tied in with a piece of wire, but because my first idea didn't work. But anyways, I've had this for quite a while, and I use this sometimes for just cutting, grooves and stuff in, on bricks or brickwork or whatever. Works kind of cool. Again, a knife and a pencil work best for doing your bricks, but if you want to speed things up a little bit, sometimes this works. What else for tools? Anyways, that's it for little saw blades and that.